The twin suns burned hot over the ruined streets of the alien marketplace. Wind carried dust and the smell of scorched metal. Old machines, broken stalls, and scraps of tech lay scattered across the sand-covered floor. Riven, a human mechanic from Earth, walked carefully between the wreckage. He wore a brown coat torn at the edges and carried a small tool case. He had come to this forgotten corner of the galaxy looking for junk to salvage. He didn't expect to find anything, until he heard it. A soft whimper. Then a strange, clicking cry. He froze. It wasn't the sound of metal. It was the sound of a child. Riven followed the sound through the rubble, stepping over shattered panels and tangled wires. Then he saw her. A small alien girl, no older than 5, lay curled in the dust. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing. Wires stuck out of her back, and her eyes were dim. Sparks danced from her spine. She trembled with every breath. "Help, please," she whispered. Before Riven could move, someone dropped to the ground beside the child. It was a tall alien woman. Her skin shimmered silver under the sunlight, and her dark red eyes locked on his. Her long white hair flowed around her face. She looked proud and broken at the same time. She knelt next to the child and pressed her forehead to the girl's. Then she looked at Riven. "You're a human." "A fixer," she said. Her voice was sharp, accented but clear. "Please, fix my child. If you do, I'll give you anything. Any pleasure you desire. Anything at all." Riven blinked, stunned. "What? No. What happened to her?" he asked. "She's breaking. Her neural core is unstable. I can't fix her. Only someone like you can. You have human hands. Human skill." The girl's body jerked again. Riven dropped to one knee, placing his case beside her. He pulled out a small scanner and waved it over the girl's spine. The readings shocked him. Her core was failing, but not because of damage. Someone had hacked it. They had tried to shut her down like a machine. "Someone did this on purpose," Riven muttered. The woman flinched. "Yes." He looked up at her. "Who are you?" "My name is Syra, and this is my daughter, Luma. We're not supposed to be alive." Riven frowned but said nothing. He turned back to the girl and gently pressed on the metal ring behind her neck. She whimpered, but he spoke softly. "It's okay, I'm going to help you." He began working, pulling tools from his bag. Syra watched his hands move with speed and care. She said nothing more, but her eyes were full of fear and hope. After several minutes, he paused. "There's a circuit blocker on her spinal port. I need a clean interface cable or I risk frying her brain." Syra quickly pulled a thin strip of wire from the bracelet on her wrist and handed it to him. "This will do," she whispered. As he connected the cable, a crowd began to gather. Shadows moved from behind broken walls. Other aliens peeked out, whispering, "That's her, the exiled one. She's still alive." Syra turned her head, trying to hide her face. Riven noticed. "Why are they afraid of you?" he asked quietly. Syra didn't answer right away. "They think my daughter is cursed," she said, at last. "Because of what she is, and what I used to be." "And what's that?" Riven asked. Syra looked him in the eyes. "A royal breeder." Riven blinked, confused. "What?" Syra's face hardened. "My body was used to create life, perfect children for the Empire. But Luma was born with emotion, with feeling. They called her a defect. They wanted her destroyed." Riven's hands froze. He looked down at the girl again, now breathing weaker. "They tried to grind her," Syra whispered, her voice shaking. "But I ran." Riven looked at her. This beautiful, desperate woman. Her eyes burned with fear, not for herself but for her daughter. He finished the final connection. Luma's eyes opened slowly. A soft light returned to them. Her breathing became steady. Syra gasped and touched her daughter's face. She's alive," she whispered. Riven nodded. "For now. But she needs full neural rest and clean energy. I bought you time. Not forever. Sierra looked up at him, tears in her eyes. You didn't ask for anything in return. Riven stood slowly. Your offer was strange, but I'm not here for pleasure. I'm here because no child deserves to die like that. Sierra looked at him with new eyes. Maybe. This human wasn't just a fixer of machines, maybe he was something far more rare. A fixer of broken hearts. Luma slept quietly now, her little chest rising and falling in rhythm. The sparks were gone. Her back still looked damaged, but the fire in her circuits had faded. She was alive. Riven sat near her, his coat spread over her small body to keep her warm. The alien junkyard was quiet again. The onlookers had left when they saw the girl wasn't dead. The whispers faded, but the weight of their stares still remained. Sierra sat a short distance away, hugging her knees. Her glowing silver skin shimmered in the dim light. Her long white hair fell over her face like a veil. She's safe for now, Riven said. Sierra nodded slowly. Her name is Luma. It means light in our old tongue, but they call her a shadow. Riven frowned. Why? Because she was born with feelings, emotion. No child from my bloodline ever cried when they were born, but Luma did. She laughed. She held my finger. She chose me. Sierra's voice cracked. They saw that as failure. Riven looked at the girl. She was so small. Her fingers were twitching even in sleep like she was dreaming. She's not a failure, he said. She's the first real person I've seen in this place. Sierra looked up, eyes red. Then you see what I see. Riven pulled out a small energy capsule from his bag and placed it next to Luma's neck. A faint hum started as the charge entered her body. It would keep her stable. He glanced at Sierra. You said you were a royal breeder. What does that mean? Sierra hesitated. Then she spoke. I was not born free. I was created for one task: to produce life. Strong, loyal, emotionless warriors for the Empire. My body was designed to carry perfect genetics. I never chose any of it. But Luma, she was different. Riven listened in silence. One of the scientists let me hold her when she was born. Sierra whispered. She smiled. That was not supposed to happen. She wasn't supposed to know who I was, but she did. She reached for me like I was more than just her shell. I knew then. I had to run. You risked your life for her, Riven said softly. Sierra nodded. I gave up everything, title, safety. My own people now hunt me like trash. There was a long silence between them. Then Sierra whispered, Why did you help us? Riven looked at her surprised. Because she needed help. No one here helps for free, she said. You could have taken what I offered. Most would. He shook his head. That's not who I am. Sierra looked at him again. Longer this time, like she didn't understand what kind of creature he was. Then from behind the scrap piles a sharp noise echoed. Clink. Riven stood up fast. What was that? Sierra's face went pale. Hunters. They've found us. Riven pulled Luma gently into his arms. She didn't wake, but her breathing stayed calm. We need to move, he said. There's nowhere safe, Sierra replied. They have trackers. Her body carries a signal. I couldn't remove it. If I did, she would have died. Riven looked around quickly, then pointed to a collapsed tunnel nearby. That way. There's an old metro shaft under the market. It leads to the abandoned tech zone. Sierra stared at him. How do you know this? I've been here before, he said. Looking for scrap. Never thought I'd be running with a child in my arms. Together, they hurried toward the tunnel. Behind them, metal footsteps echoed in the dirt. The hunters were getting closer. Inside the tunnel, it was dark but cooler. Pipes dripped water. Rust and mold covered the walls. Riven placed Luma down on a soft cloth and checked her energy levels. She'll last the night, he said. Sierra sat beside her daughter, brushing her fingers through the girl's soft hair. Thank you, she whispered. I never thought anyone would help us again. Riven sat down across from her, wiping sweat from his brow. You didn't need to offer your body to save her, he said quietly. I only offered what I thought humans wanted, Syra replied. Isn't that what you all take when you have power? Riven shook his head. Not the ones with hearts. Syra looked at him in silence. Then, very gently, she said, Maybe you were born to fix more than machines. Riven didn't answer, but the way he looked at Luma, peacefully sleeping, said, Enough. The tunnel was cold but safe, for now. Riven stood guard near the broken entrance, watching shadows shift in the distance. His fingers stayed close to his plasma wrench, the closest thing he had to a weapon. Every small sound made his heart beat faster. The silence outside wasn't peace, it was a warning. Behind him, Syra held Luma close, wrapping the girl in her long cloak. The child murmured in her sleep, the glowing strip on her back flickering like a weak star. She'll need another energy cell by morning, Riven whispered. I don't have another, Syra replied, her voice low. Then I'll find one. You'll be killed if you go out there alone, she said, stepping forward. They're not just soldiers, they're soul hunters, trained to track through mind signatures they don't see with eyes. Riven looked at her. Then why aren't they here already? Syra hesitated. They are searching. But I shielded Luma's thoughts for now. I trained in that skill before I ran. It won't last forever. Riven took a slow breath. Why does your own kind want her dead so badly? He asked. Syra sat down beside Luma again. Because she's not what they created her to be. Our empire breeds soldiers, not children. We were forbidden to feel love. They said love makes us weak. Luma proves them wrong. She was born loving, and they fear that. He sat down beside them, the glow of Luma's skin barely lighting their faces. You were supposed to be their tool, and now you're their enemy. I didn't care what they called me, Syra said. I only cared when they touched her, when they tried to put her in the grinder like broken steel. Riven clenched his jaw. What kind of empire kills their own children? Syra didn't answer. She only stared into the dark. Suddenly, Luma whimpered in her sleep. Her fingers curled tightly. No, she muttered, her voice trembling. Don't take me. She's dreaming, Syra whispered, brushing her daughter's face. They used to plug her mind into learning systems while she slept. Sometimes, the nightmares return. Riven looked away for a second. He had worked on machines all his life. He had seen rusted drones and broken tech that had been used and discarded. But this was a living child treated like old hardware. I've seen machines with more dignity, he said. Syra looked up. That's why I offered myself to you, human. I was desperate. You're not like us, but I prayed you'd still care. Riven leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. I didn't help because of what you offered. I helped because no one else would. That's the difference between your kind and mine. Syra blinked, surprised. You speak as if humans are better. Not better, he said. But sometimes, we remember what it means to be human. Just then a humming sound echoed from the entrance. Both of them stood instantly. 3 glowing orbs hovered in the dark, scanning the tunnel. Drones. They're close, Syra hissed. They found her signature again. Riven looked around. We can't fight those without weapons. Syra stepped in front of Luma. I'll distract them. You run. No, Riven said sharply. We stay together. Syra looked ready to argue, but the light from the drones was already crawling closer. Riven reached into his case and pulled out a copper sphere, an old magnetic field disruptor. Not a weapon, but it could fry tech for a few seconds. Cover your ears, he warned. He slammed it against the wall. Crack! A burst of blue lightning exploded through the tunnel. The drones sparked, twitched, and dropped to the ground, dead. Syra stared at him. That was brilliant. Riven grinned. Sometimes junk has value, but he didn't feel relief. If the drones were that close, soldiers would follow. We need to leave this tunnel, he said. They'll swarm this place soon. Where will we go? Syra asked. To the undersector, he replied. There's an old scrapyard beneath the city, full of forgotten tech and broken dreams. It's a graveyard, but no one patrols there anymore. Syra held Luma tighter. Will she be safe? No, Riven said honestly, but she'll be safer with me than with them. Syra looked at him again with eyes full of storm and hope. You could leave us. I could, he nodded, but I won't. And with that, the three of them, human, mother, and child, vanished into the smoke-filled depths of the broken world. Together. Running not just from death, but toward a chance at something more. The scrapyard under the city was a world of shadows and silence. Massive towers of crushed machines rose like metal mountains. The air smelled of rust and old oil. No lights, no voices. Only the low creak of broken steel shifting under forgotten weight. Riven led the way, carrying Luma wrapped in his coat. Syra followed close behind, her eyes scanning every dark corner. She looked like a ghost under the moonlight, silent, dangerous, and broken all at once. They found shelter inside the wreckage of an old shuttle. Its body was bent and cracked, but the inside was dry. Riven laid Luma gently on the floor and placed a small power cell beside her to keep her warm. Syra sat quietly. She hadn't said a word in over an hour. Riven finally broke the silence. She's stable again for now. Syra didn't look up. He crouched down beside her. You've been quiet. What's going on in your head? She looked at him slowly. You still don't understand what I am, do you? You're a mother, he said. That's all that matters. She shook her head. No, I was a royal pleasure bond, a living offering to the Empire's warlords. My body was not mine. I was designed to obey. When I said I would give you any pleasure, I didn't mean just words. I meant it with my blood, my breath, my whole being. That's what they made me for. Riven stared at her, stunned. I thought that was all I was good for, Syra whispered. That's why I offered myself to you. Not because I wanted to, but because I thought that's what you'd expect, what any man would expect. He looked away, jaw tight. And yet, she continued, you fixed my daughter without touching me. You stayed. You protected us. Why? Riven stood and turned his back. Because I've seen people like you before. On Earth. Girls sold, traded, thrown away. People think this kind of thing only happens on alien planets. It doesn't. I left my world not because I hated it, but because I was tired of fixing machines while real lives fell apart around me. Syra stood too. You saw me as more than just a broken thing. You are more, he said sharply. You're a mother who ran through death to save her child. That's stronger than any empire. She stepped closer. What do you want from me now, Riven? He turned back and looked her in the eyes. I want you to stop offering your body like it's all you have. I want you to believe that you deserve more, that she deserves more. Syra's breath hitched. Her lips parted, but no words came. Then a soft sound broke the moment. Mommy. Luma's voice, small and weak, came from the shadows of the shuttle. Syra dropped to her knees and rushed to her daughter. She held her close, rocking her gently. I'm here, little light. I'm here. Riven watched them, something burning in his chest. Not pain, not sadness. Something else. A weight that told him he had chosen the right thing. After some time, Syra spoke again. They'll never stop chasing us. As long as Luma lives, they'll hunt her. Riven walked over and crouched beside them. Then we don't run anymore. Syra frowned. What do you mean? I mean we find a way to fight. Back, he said. But first we disappear. I know someone, a smuggler who owes me a favor. She can get us off this planet. Syra looked unsure. You'd go that far for us? I already did, he said. I'm not stopping now. Syra looked at him like she had never looked at another being before. Not with fear, not with guilt, but with hope. Real, honest hope. Was created to serve, she whispered. But you've given me something I've never had. Riven tilted his head. What's that? A choice. She placed her hand gently on his. I still don't know how to thank you. Riven smiled softly. You just did. Outside, the wind howled through the scrapyard, shaking metal and bone. But inside that broken shuttle, for the first time in many nights, there was peace. A broken girl was alive. A fallen woman had found purpose. And a human, just a mechanic, was about to change more than just a machine. He was about to change a destiny. Dawn never truly came in the tech wastes. The skies above the scrapyard remained gray and heavy, like the world had forgotten how to shine. Broken satellites drifted like ghosts across the clouds. The towers of twisted machines groaned in the wind. Inside the old shuttle, Riven double-checked his tools. He had packed 3 small energy cells, 2 micro-exploders, and a signal jammer. Not much, but enough for a chance. Sierra wrapped Luma in layers of thermal cloth. The little girl was stronger now, but her eyes still blinked slowly, like her soul hadn't fully returned from the edge. She's stable, Riven said, but the jamming field won't last. We have to move. Sierra nodded. Where are we going? To someone who can get us out, he said. Name's Alex. Half-alien smuggler. Dangerous, but fair. Can we trust her? No, he said, honestly. But we can deal with her. They stepped out of the shuttle and into the maze of rusted metal. Riven led them through narrow alleys, formed by old war mechs and shattered engine cores. Their path was tight and dark. No one came here anymore, but they weren't alone. Behind them, something moved, soft clicks, a distant hum. Riven turned and whispered, They're tracking us again. Sierra's eyes flashed with panic. How? You blocked the signal. I did, he said, but they're not using signals now. They're using scent, emotion. She's bonded to you. They can trace your connection. Sierra looked at Luma, who clung to her tightly. I won't leave her, she said. You won't have to, Riven said. But we need to split the trail. He handed her a heat emitter. You go right, past the ridge of broken hulls. I'll take a longer route and circle back at Alex's hideout. If I don't show up in 1 hour, keep going without me. No, Sierra snapped. You're not just a mechanic anymore, you're our anchor. Then don't let me go for nothing, he said with a tired smile. Sierra looked at him, torn between fear and trust. Then she nodded. Riven ran in the opposite direction, cutting through debris and disappearing behind a wall of rusted fighter ships. Sierra held Luma close and moved as quickly as she could. Time passed in heartbeats. Then, voices, alien voices, cold and sharp, echoed through the maze. Track confirmed. Child is near. Sierra crouched low and pressed Luma's head to her chest. Her old instincts as a breeder kicked in, silent, unseen, forgotten. The soldiers passed only inches away. Their helmets scanned the air, their rifles humming with deadly power. One stopped, sniffing. Sierra didn't move. Luma didn't breathe. Then, they left. She exhaled silently, tears forming. Far across the ridge, Riven watched through a cracked visor. He had drawn the soldiers off, but not all. One followed. His path too smart, too fast. He ducked into an old maintenance shaft and crawled through the grime, heart pounding. As he neared the other end, a laser beam cut through the wall beside him. Got you! A voice hissed. Riven jumped, rolled, and threw a micro-exploder behind him. The small device pulsed red and detonated with a deafening bang. The tunnel collapsed. Behind him, he didn't stop running. At last, both he and Sierra reached the smuggler's zone, a scrapyard fortress made from crashed ships and welded shields. Alex stood outside, arms crossed. Her skin shimmered green, her eyes cat-like. You bring trouble, Riven, she growled. I bring credits, he replied, panting. And a story worth hearing. Alex narrowed her eyes at Sierra and Luma. That's royal blood, she said. You're being hunted. We know, Riven said. That's why we need off-world transport, fast, quiet. Alex hissed through her teeth. Not cheap. Riven tossed her a data chip. Worth more than your ship. A full map of pre-war drone mines, all untouched, all real. Alex scanned the chip. Her expression changed. You really are insane, human, she muttered. Then she smiled. Fine, I'll fly you out. But once we lift off, you're on your own. Riven nodded. That's all we need. As the engines of the smuggler's ship powered up, Luma looked out through the porthole. Her eyes, once dull, sparkled faintly. Syra held her daughter's hand. We're leaving the place where they tried to erase us. Riven stood behind them, bruised and breathless. No, he said quietly. We're just starting the place, where they'll remember you. The smuggler ship soared through the black sky, its hull creaking with age but strong enough to hold 3 lives that had nothing left behind. Below them, the rust-covered planet shrank into the distance, swallowed by clouds and silence. No more scrapyards, no more footsteps chasing them. For the first time in many nights, Syra closed her eyes without fear. Riven sat in the corner of the ship's cargo bay, his head resting against a metal wall. His hands were bandaged, burned from the micro-exploder. Still, he had no regrets. Luma lay sleeping wrapped in blankets beside him. Her breathing was calm. No sparks. No twitching. Just peace. Syra knelt next to him and placed a warm cloth on his hand. You should rest. I'm fine, he said. How's she doing? Syra looked down at her daughter. Better than ever. The movement and the quiet, it soothes her. There was a long pause. The hum of the ship filled the space between them. I don't know how to live a normal life, Syra whispered. All I've ever known is obedience, commands, and fear. Riven looked at her. Then let's build one piece at a time. She tilted her head. You speak like it's easy. It's not, he said. But I'm a mechanic. Fixing broken things is what I do, even if it takes time. Syra laughed quietly, genuine and soft. You fixed a child's heart. You might be more than a mechanic now. They arrived at a quiet moon station far beyond the Empire's reach. Alex dropped them off without ceremony, collecting her payment and vanishing into the stars. The station was small, cold, and forgotten, but free. Riven found them shelter in an old satellite station once used by prospectors. It had solar panels, clean water, and working lights. That was all they needed to begin. Days passed, then weeks. Riven spent his time fixing the broken systems around them, radios, lights, heat vents. He even built a small battery chair for Luma so she could move freely without collapsing. She smiled. More now. She laughed sometimes. She began drawing strange shapes on the walls with broken chalk. They didn't look like words, but something inside them spoke of wonder. Syra cleaned the shelter each day, planted seeds in small soil pods, and stitched blankets from old ship fabric. She was no longer a breeder. She was a mother, free and full of purpose. One night, Riven walked outside and found her sitting under the stars. Cold? He asked, offering a heat pack. Syra took it and shook her head. Not tonight. For once, I don't feel empty. He sat beside her. The stars stretched endlessly above them, silver and sharp. Why didn't you ever ask me for more? She asked suddenly. What do you mean? I offered you my body, my service. You never accepted. Even now, you stay close, but never touch. Riven sighed. Because you deserved the chance to offer something freely. Not out of fear. Not as payment. She looked at him. And if I offered now? He turned and met her eyes. Then I'd say yes. Because it's yours to give. Her lips trembled, not from cold, but from something warmer. She leaned forward slowly and placed her hand on his chest. This is not a reward, she whispered. It's the first thing I've chosen for myself. They didn't kiss right away. They didn't need to. The moment was full already, of healing, trust, and a kind of love that wasn't born in fire but in survival. Inside the shelter, Luma woke from her sleep and wandered to the door. She peeked outside and saw her mother and Riven sitting close, under the sky. She didn't speak. She only smiled, because even as a child she understood. They weren't just building a new home. They were building something stronger than steel. A family. The stars outside the station shone brighter than ever. Weeks had passed since they arrived on the quiet moon, far away from the Empire's reach. The air here was still and clean. No screaming alarms, no shadows in the alley, only the soft sounds of a child learning to laugh again, and a woman learning what it meant to live free. Riven stood at the edge of the landing platform, working on an old antenna tower. Sparks flicked around him as he tightened the final bolts. He wiped sweat from his brow and looked out across the horizon. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for once he didn't feel lost. "Still fixing everything?" a soft voice said behind him. He turned. It was Syra. Her long white hair was tied back, her silver skin glowing under the rising moons. She wore a simple jumpsuit now, not the silky robes of her past. She had left that life behind. "Old habits," Riven said with a grin. This place needed more than just a mechanic, it needed purpose. She stepped closer. "And what about you? What about me? You fix machines. You saved a child. But who fixes you, Riven?" He looked away for a moment. "I don't need fixing." "Yes," she said gently. "You do. I see it in your eyes. You carry a weight, like someone who's always running from something." He didn't answer right away. Then he spoke. "I ran from Earth, not because it was dying, but because I was. I spent my whole life repairing things no one cared about. People laughed at the idea of saving anything broken. They only wanted new. Perfect. I hated that world for giving up on things with cracks." Syra touched his hand. "You never gave up on me, or Luma. Because I saw something worth saving," he said. She smiled. "Then let me do the same. You fixed my child. You gave me a second life. Now let me fix you." "How?" Syra stepped, close, placing his hand against her heart. "By showing you that you're not alone anymore." Riven stared at her, his breath caught in his throat. She wasn't offering herself like before, out of fear or debt. This was real. A gift born from freedom, a home offered to a man who had none. They kissed, not with hunger but with healing, not with fire but with warmth. It was quiet, steady, real. Inside the station, Luma peeked through the window again, her glowing eyes wide. She didn't interrupt. She only clutched her tiny drawing pad and smiled. She had drawn a picture earlier, 3 figures under 2 moons. One tall, one strong, and one small, but together. Family. That night they ate together on the rooftop under the stars. Luma laughed as Riven made sparks with his old tools. Syra leaned against his side, calm and content. No soldiers came. No hunters returned. They had vanished into the stars, and had been reborn. Riven looked at them and realized something. He hadn't just saved a child. He hadn't just escaped a world that rejected him. He had found the very thing no one could build, not even with all the tools in the galaxy. Belonging. Syra whispered to him, "You saved my light." Riven smiled and answered, "And you saved what was left of mine." Far above, the stars continued to burn, but none of them shone brighter than the tiny station on the quiet moon, where a mechanic, a mother, and a once broken child built something stronger than any empire. Hope.